Welcome back to the Switch Sports Golf Super League. We're back with Week 2, and I'm looking to bounce back after a tough Week 1 matchup against Dylan, who pretty much dominated the first game. I put up a good fight in the second game. Here is where the standings and the Week 1 results currently are. And I'm playing against Mike D this week. I actually don't think I've ever played against Mike before. He is a Super League legend, and I believe this is the first time we've ever matched up. We've been in separate divisions until this point. But let's get it started here. Hole 1 is going to be hole 13. We've got a tough little wind condition, 11 miles an hour, pushing left and also in the face a little bit. Let's give this a shot with the 5-iron, probably about 3.4, 3.5 dots of power, if I had to give it a guess. Right around there should be decent. Somewhere in that range is the right look. Is that it? I don't think so. Mike has ended up behind the green, maybe going for more of a rollout strategy. I yank mine back to 13 feet. I've got a pretty straight putt here. Let's see if Mike can chip this in. Oh, he just misses it on his right side. So if I can sink this putt, I'll take a lead in the early going of game 1 here. Now we play random 9 rounds to a best of 3. Mike has sunk the par, and a birdie to a par will give me an early 1-stroke lead. There are no easy matchups in this Super League. Everybody is a fantastic player. It's going to take some shots made to try to keep this up. We've got a difficult-looking seed, especially considering we're now looking at some moderate winds on hole 15. Let's see if we can just put it close, maybe get lucky, otherwise give ourselves nice, makeable birdies. Got to pick and choose your battles in this game sometimes, whether you want to be super aggressive with shots. You got to make sure you know them if you're going to go for, trying to hole out shots like this. This one is definitely difficult to hole out. 17 miles an hour, pretty much crosswind. Tough back left pin. For that reason, I'm not going to use the roll-up strategy when we don't have a lot of room behind the pin to work with it. I'm not entirely sure what the power has to be. Let's go for more of a spin shot to just try to put it close. I think I'm pretty comfortable with aiming it to there. That looks about right. We'll give it 3.6, 3.7 or so dots of power. And we'll call that good and hopefully just kind of plug it close to the cup. Maybe you get lucky, you never know. That looks pretty good if that rolls back just a little. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Just, oh man, Mike with a tough first 2 holes here. He lipped out the putt. And Mike put up a good fight in week 1 against Beef. But I'll take a 2-stroke lead in the early going of week 2 after a couple of tough breaks around the green. So it'll be pars for Mike. I'll go to 2 under. And this, if I can keep it up, will help with my stroke differential because I'm currently in last place after week 1. So we'll move on to hole 3 here. And the winds have not been very nice. So not the best of wind conditions, not the most makeable shots. But we'll see if we can maybe get lucky here on one. Tough pin with this sort of crosswind. We're also going to lose a bit of distance because this drive is a little bit upwind. So we probably can't put this quite as close to the green as I'd like to. We'll see where we end up after the second shot. Hopefully we're in range to give it like a pretty reasonable 2, maybe 2+ dot chip shot with the wedge. Yeah, we're just a little bit further back than usual after the first here. So we'll just hit this up there as far as we can through the gap in those trees. Just 2 full drivers with the most efficient line that I can get. That looks about right. I mean, 35-ish yards, I'd guess. 32. Not going to be a super easy chip here. I may want to use my little rip it strategy. And I guess in the past couple of weeks, I've sunk this shot more than I have in the past. Let's just try to rip this one back with some spin. Land it well beyond the cup. Mike has ended up did he launch up there maybe? If you can catch a launch, you end up getting a good look at a more reasonable shot here. I'm just going to go for the big old rip spin. Is it going to make it all the way? Not quite. Strangely, maybe it needs a little bit of headwind to make that work. But Mike now has a fairly reasonable shot, obviously not easy with this crosswind, to try to gain a stroke back here. He's going to just miss it on the left side. Really tough chip. I'll sink my 3rd birdie, and Mike will tap his in as well. So it'll be 3 under to 1 under through 3. As I said, we play random 9-hole rounds. So it's a random selection of holes, but it's always 9. And we've got 6 left to play in this game 1. So we'll move on to hole 10, which is going to be our 4th hole here. And these really strong winds continue. Very, very interesting start to this seed. Not a lot of makeable shots. Really no makeable shots. We've seen 11 miles an hour on 3 of the 4 holes, and I believe it was 17 on the other one. So a lot of the holes that are towards the start of the 9s, where 11 miles an hour is the maximum wind that you can see. This one's going to be very difficult to make. There's 2 ways to try this. One of them is the bounce-up strategy, where you want to land it just on the green and, it kicks a little bit to the right. But with this 7-iron, which is what we have to use, if we try to go for the 9-iron, it doesn't make it. With the 7-iron, I think it just bounces a little bit too far for this to be a makeable shot. So what I may want to do is just try to spin it around the cup. Hopefully not hit the cup. Just spin it around the cup. I don't think spin is the best move here, but that should land just a little ways. Oh, I hit it. Ooh, and I kind of launch off to the side a bit. Did Mike end up leaving that putt a little bit short? Oh, he may have. Oh, man, he has to tap in a par. The putter has not been good to Mike in the early going here. Sometimes you end up with, I don't know, a miscalibration or something like that, because I know Mike is a fantastic player. He always puts up great scores in this league, but it'll be a 3-stroke lead for me after what doesn't feel like a very fair opening here. I mean, putting in this game is usually pretty forgiving, especially when they're straighter putts. We'll move on to hole 9 here. I'll see if we can just try to keep this in the fairway with a tougher little shot here. That looks about perfect for what I was going for. That should fade just a little bit against the wind. It's not going to completely fight the wind, but it should just kind of hold the fairway nicely. Not really approaching the left edge there. And we have a nice angle underneath this tree to try to put this one, fairly close up there. And I actually have an idea of where I want to land this 3rd shot. Let's just make sure we get the 2nd shot up there safely. Just a little bit more than 2 dots of power with that driver. Just under those trees should be pretty perfect for the layup. There's no getting there in 2 with this wind direction. And now we have a look here to try a strategy that's fairly safe despite it looking kind of weird. Like, it doesn't look like a great strategy, and you'll see what I mean when I actually hit it. But let's just go for it. I think we'll just want to aim this one out to about there. I'll hit the 7-iron. And we'll try to just put this a little bit past pin high, and the goal is to just rip it back with the spin and just land it in the bowl of that green. So if you look at that terrain map, it all collects down to where the pin is. And that's the reason I'm trying to use the backspin here. So let's hit a shot well past pin high with the landing point. Ooh, it's a little too much, but it should be safe. Now that should kind of collect back down. What it has to do to work is be a little bit higher up and obviously a little bit more to the right. But often that spin starts off when you can catch that back hill, moving to the right a bit more, and then it trickles back to a nice look at maybe an eagle, otherwise it's pretty much a tap-in birdie. Not the best execution of that strategy there. We'll have to tap in the birdie. I saw that Mike tapped in a birdie as well, and I'll hold on to that 3-shot lead. So really, really difficult holeouts. You can't push it much lower than birdie golf here without a whole lot of luck. But we'll see what these final 4 holes have in store. We've got 17, 8, and 21 on there, so it's going to be really, really difficult to try to get any sort of scoring going in this round. But we'll just try our best to, hold on to this lead, put it close, tap it in. Is there a way to try to go for this one? I'm not totally confident that there's a good strategy to, try to get it really close to this pin. I want to make sure that I don't leave it too far to the right, which then pushes it further and further right, and you can end up missing the green entirely. That looks... Oh, it looked okay until it launched. It's still kind of okay, but now it's just a little bit past, safe, nice putting range. The chip is just pure crosswind, though, so I'm not totally sure if I like that. Let's go to the putter. It's going to move a bit to the right on me. Let's just try to sink this, maybe 2.5-ish, slightly more dots of power on the putter. Mike sends it up and he'll leave it just a little bit short. So I have a look here to try to gain another shot. I'm going to leave mine on the right. Oh no, it sinks. Oh no, meaning I was wrong. That's an oh yes, but man, that one felt lucky. I thought that was going to miss on the right side, but the right lip just snagged it. So I'll sink a putt to move to 6 under. Mike with a tough launch as well ends up maintaining his 2 under pace here. So I'll have a 4-shot lead with 3 holes to play. We'll move on to hole 8, always difficult. Really strong wind again. We have not seen any relenting of these winds in the early part of this round. It has been pretty brutal. Let's see if we can hit a good shot here, though. Probably have to give it about 3.1 or so dots of power, maybe a touch more. We'll aim it to roughly there. I think that's pretty safe. 3.1 or so on the power should be good. Maybe just a touch more. That feels about perfect. Now that's going to be on a pretty good line if it holds the green, which it may not. Oh, it'll just sneak back onto the green. A little overpowered there, despite, you know, you lose some of the directional efficiency. So you think if you're aiming way off to the side, you end up needing a little bit more power just to get it all the way there, but maybe some sneaky tailwind there. Just a little bit when it's 29 miles an hour is enough to make a difference like that. So a little bit overpowered. Now we have to think about this one a bit. Mike has sunk the birdie. I'll send mine up and sink it as well. So some tougher birdies on hole 8 there, and we both sink them. So that'll push me to 7 under, just playing birdie golf through this really tough seed. Mike will be at 3 under, and we'll have 2 holes to play. Let's see what hole 12 has for us. It's just wind in the face. Is it stronger wind? It's 6 miles an hour, not bad. Tougher little back pin, though. This is one of the tougher pins to deal with when you have wind in the face. Tee positions, fortunately, don't really matter when you're playing 1v1s. You always end up in the back middle, which is typically a really good place to be. So it's nice in this league that you never really have to worry about tee positions. Mike may have been able to carry it a little bit further. He's quite a bit further up despite me hitting a full drive. You know, I just clipped the rough there. So we'll have to think about maybe a little bit more adjustment on this one since it has to fly about 10 yards further. Let's adjust this one to about there. We'll have to give this a little bit more power with the spoon than typical. Call it 3.4-ish if I had to take a guess. Dots of power. Right about there feels about right. Let's give it a run. Give it a look. Oh, I overpowered it a little bit. Hopefully that's okay. That may actually have been necessary for me to put this on a decent line. Okay, so... Oh, Mike with a nice chip there. Distracted me a little bit from my my own description of my shot. So, overpowered based on what I wanted, but that ended up helping me out a little bit. Now, it would have made the green, but it would have been a little bit further away. So, a little lucky there that I end up with a nice close putt. I'll sink it for the eagle. Mike with a nice chip makes the eagle as well. And I'll move to 9 under as Mike moves to 5 under. So I'm maintaining that 4-shot lead, which is good for my score differential here. We've got 1 hole to play in this first game. It's going to be hole 21 to finish off this pretty brutal seed. What sort of wind are we going to be dealing with here? Absolutely nothing. Interesting. All right, let's just hit a good shot up there. Hopefully put it close. I don't know if I have an idea of how to hit this one with no wind. I don't think you can aim right at it. Like, I think there has to be some sideways adjustment. We'll take a look at the terrain map when I can pull it up and just see where it looks like the bounce is going to go and see if we can get lucky here. Let's go 5 iron just to make sure this rolls out enough. Definitely want to use rollout. No need to spin it when you're dealing with all of this elevation change. Let's go like a square left and just hope to trickle this one up there. Probably give it 2.7-ish dots of power and just hope that this rolls back there nicely on a couple bounces. 2.7 or so is going to be my play. Right about there. Now that should take a little bounce off the front part, move to the right just a little, roll up, and I'll sink it. It hung on the edge like prime Tiger Woods at the Masters in, what was that, 2001? That took a big pause right on the edge. I guess that is the zero-win strategy. Man, oh man, it took a little trickle back down for that to actually fall. But that's a big one. That'll give me a 5-stroke differential in game 1. So I'll move to 11 under as Mike moves to 6 under. Let me make sure I get the screenshot here for the records, just to make sure that these are all recorded properly. We're back with game 2 of this matchup against Mike D. I got a nice win in the first game, but the score is back to 0-0, so anything can happen in game 2. This was similar to my game against Dylan in week 1, except going the opposite way, and I almost came back and won that game too. So this is a new, fresh game. Mike is a fantastic player. He will definitely hit some shots this time around. I know that about him. Let's see if I can hold him off and try to get back to a good, round and match and score differential in this league. We have a similar looking condition here. Hole 13, 4 miles an hour. So lighter wind, same pin, same direction of wind. Let's see if we can hit a good one here and try our best to maybe sink an ace. And right about there looks pretty good for the adjustment. I'll actually hit the same power as last time since that was slightly underpowered in game 1 with that slightly stronger wind than what we're seeing now. Is this better? If it sneaks around... Oh, it'll smack the pin. My pin smacks have happened a couple times in this match. Lighter wind, makeable shot. Just a little bit off with the adjustment. Mike sinks the birdie this time around. We are even through one as I sink my birdie. So we're each at 1 under. Through 1 here. This is a new random 9, so a completely new seed that we're playing. Let's see if I can get a lead here in game 2. What are we going to be dealing with for the seed? It looks better this time around. I mean, holes 7, 16 can be tougher. We also have 6 and 17 on there. Oh, and here's a tough look at hole 14. This is almost as difficult as it gets. How do we want to handle this one? This one is so risky because we probably have to hit it all the way out to the right and just hope for a break through the trees. Now, how far right do we have to go with this to be safe? I'm thinking right about there should be okay, but this is a guess, and hopefully it's a good guess. Hopefully we can make it through that tree gap. You know, you can go off to the left, but then you risk not even making it to the green in 2, even with like a full driver. That should sneak through. That should be about perfect. Mike sneaks through as well. We are both through the trees, safely in the fairway on this really difficult shot on hole 14, so... Mission number 1 accomplished for both of us. Now it's a matter of trying to put this one up there and, you know, get it close. Let's see if either of us can pull off an unlikely albatross here. This one is strange. We have to hit this very far. I don't know if the 3-iron can fully make it. I still think I want to go for the little glide spin. Let's... it's so tough because if you roll it out, it rolls super far. I'm just going to hope that this ends up somewhere up there close. Glide spin 3-iron. If we end up needing a longer putt because it doesn't quite make it all the way there, that looks like it should be fine, actually. It's not going to have the full effect of making it all the way to the pin, but at least we're pretty close, 17 or so feet away. And we've got a makeable putt. Not the easiest hole 14 in general. Mike's putt is on the way, and he'll sink it. Mike is back with the putter in game 2. I knew that he would be able to, you know, have a much better game 2 than he had in game 1. I'll send mine up there and sink it. We make 2 tough eagles on that really, really difficult, almost maximally difficult hole 14. But no leads in game 2 so far. So it'll be 3 under for both of us through this tough beginning of another seed. It's not been easy so far. We'll move on to hole 7. Often a tough one. Doesn't look too bad. Actually, that looks like some strong wind. Man, the wind is unrelenting in this match. Let's, once again, try our best. Just try to put it close. I'm not going to use the little hook strategy here. I'm going to try to just hit a regular shot out to the end of that fairway and see if we can use a 3-iron with some spin heading into this second shot. Now that's going to be towards the end, hopefully not too far. Gotta get it up there. Is that far enough? You have to cut it pretty close to be able to use spin with the 3-iron on this second shot. I don't think it's far enough for a spin. Let's... rolling one up there doesn't feel great, but it may be what we have to do. Or bouncing one up there, I should say. Let's give it just a little bit less than full power. Bounce it up there. And hopefully this ends up being alright. Hopefully this is a good look. This is still going to fly fairly far, so I don't want to underdo it. But let's try our best to be safe with it. Hopefully this is a pretty good look. Over the tree, moving left. Hopefully just landing a little bit short. No spin on that one. Maybe I could have gone for a spin play. Yeah, that's about what I thought might happen. We'll end up 36 feet away, but at least we're on the green with a putt. After a really difficult decision there to see if we could go for the spin. There's the risk of yanking it right back off the green. Mike sinks the putt. I've got a tough one here to try to match that from 36 feet away. Let's send it on its way. Almost 3 dots of power is what's going to be necessary to get it back there. We'll send it in that direction, and I'll lip it out on the left side. Really tough look there, and Mike is going to take a lead in game 2. I saw that my power meter ended up at about 3, which is more than I was going for, so an overpowered putt. So Mike makes a tough birdie there. Winds have been unrelenting in this matchup. It's been tough to make birdies, really tough to make eagles, and Mike now holds on to a lead through 3. We've got 6 holes to play to see if I can come back here. 11-mile-an-hour winds, maximum winds for hole 11, just unrelenting with the winds. You see some nicer holes, but you just don't necessarily see nice winds. 11 is usually a fairly doable one. I wouldn't call that the case here. Let's give this a look with the 5-iron. Aimed out to there, feels about right. Have to take a little bit of power off of the usual. And let's see if we can sneak one up there and maybe glide one back with some light spin. That's not quite the line. That's going to end up okay, I think, as long as it doesn't launch. Yeah, that'll be totally fine. Tap in birdie, but just a bit off with the aim there. Mike makes a birdie. I'm not going to gain a stroke back here. You know, not the hardest birdie to make, but pretty tough eagle. So I'm going to need to see an opportunity for a hole out. That's not super, super easy, but it's more doable than that if I'm going to try to come back in this game. So I'll move to 4 under as Mike stays 1 shot ahead at 5 under. We've got 5 holes to play in game 2 to see if I can even this thing back up. Here's hole 16. What sort of wind are we going to be dealing with here? It looks like it's in a direction where we can go for that shortcut. Yeah, 13 miles an hour. Not bad at all. Let's aim this one out to about the top of that little tree that you see in that little shortcut there. This should be a pretty good line. Hopefully it is. Let's give it a shot. Try to stay safe of all the trees. Push left just enough. And now try to stay safe of that trunk. Oh, I clipped the trunk. And the trunks don't bounce in this game. They just kind of cause your shot to drop right where it lands. And a little tough break there to just barely clip it. Mike makes it through. He has a nice little chip from considerably closer than what I have here. Now, I think I can still use the wedge. It's just going to bite back a whole lot harder. So for that reason, I may want to use the 9-iron. And it's going to take a pretty lucky shot to try to put this one close and try to rattle it in. Mike has a chip that he is going to sink. Mike has locked in for game 2. Let's see if I can match that. Otherwise, I'm going to drop 2 shots here. And Mike may be on his way to forcing a game 3. Unless this falls. Oh, it's just not quite going to make it back. I circled the cup, but I didn't drop it in it. And I'll have to sink a birdie. Now, it's a tough hole 16 here, but Mike with a very nice shot is going to pull 2 strokes ahead. So a very nice eagle from Mike. A totally different game 2. Mike is at 7 under, and I'm just playing birdie golf once again at 5 under. What do we have on hole 9 this time around? Looks like no wind at all. However, it's a pin where 0 wind is still pretty difficult to actually make a shot on. The reason for that is because it's in a spot on the green where the spin is just super inconsistent. Like sometimes if you hit one very small spot, it bites super hard. If you hit the spot right next to it, it doesn't bite at all. It just kind of glides to a stop. With the same amount of spin, the actual amount of spin that you put on it doesn't really matter sometimes. It's just the physics of the green and the second bounce cause the spin to react differently. So we'll have to think about this one and try to think about what sort of look we can give this. Mike has gone over the water into, intentionally off to the right. So we have 2 different ways to approach this. I'm going to give this just right about there for the adjustment, I want to say. And I'm going to go for the glide spin. That's going to be my play here. Now, hopefully this glides and doesn't bite super hard. If it does bite, it ends up rolling quite a ways down the hill, which would be quite unfortunate. Mike has hit his shot up to the green, but not in the cup. Mine is going to bite fairly hard and end up trickling back pretty nicely. Just not enough for a make, though. So a 0 wind, fairly doable hole. Whoa, my goodness. Thunderstorms rolling in here. I did not know those were happening today. So I'll try not to be distracted by the very darkening skies outside. I'll tap in a birdie. And Mike holds on to that lead. So a difficult eagle despite 0 wind on hole 9. Haven't quite figured that one out. Mike gave it a good run. He'll maintain that 2-shot lead with 3 holes to play here. And what are those holes going to be? 3, 6, and 17. So if there's an opportunity to try to come back, this may need to be it. This is a pretty doable one. I believe Mike knows this one. I've never played with him, so I can't say for sure, but pretty much every player at this level knows how to make these sorts of situations. Hole 3 has a lot of pretty doable eagles. This is one of them. It's not automatic. I still mess it up a little more than I probably should, but let's try our best to hit it out there to the proper spot into and just try to make this one as easy on myself as possible. That one looks like it's on a pretty good line, intentionally more to the left, which gives me a nice straighter roll-up. So I leave this more on the left side, and if I pull up the terrain map, You'll kind of see why if we give it a zoom. I'm just trying to make this so it's pretty much straight on. No real movement on the bounce. I think I've done a pretty good job of that. Let's give it like 2.4 or so dots of power and hopefully just carry any part of the green where it can have a kick. Mike has not made the shot. So I have a chance here. If I can hit this with the right power and get a nice little bounce in, I'll make it, and that'll pull me back to 1 stroke down with 2 holes to play. So an opportunity that I took advantage of. It's not the easiest chip. Like I said, I don't make it with 100% make rate, even with 0 wind. It's a touchy one. And Mike taps in the birdie to push to 9 under, but I'll push to 8 under myself here with 2 holes to play. We'll see if I can come back and try to tie this one up. It's going to be 6 and then 17, so 17, not always the most fair hole. Not one that I necessarily want to see on the scorecard, but it's one where you see some variance in scores, and that's kind of what I need at this point. Let's hit a careful drive with the intention of just putting this close with the spoon on the second one. So we're using a strategy where we just put it in the trees, just try to avoid those trunks, which I haven't done the best job of, but that should be okay. I think I can make it around there. Can I? Okay, I have to aim this out to like there to be safe. Is that okay? I think it's okay. It's going to have to be okay. Gotta give it plenty of power as the thunder continues outside. A little bit scary. People running around out there. I haven't given myself a great shot here, but let's see if I can just put this on the green somewhere. Okay, I avoid the tree. Can I roll all the way to the green? Mike has left it a little bit short. If I can get some rollout... Oh, I don't quite get the rollout. Tough break with that tree there. I, fortunately didn't have a terrible, terrible look. Could still put it close there. Mike just misses it. So if I can sink this chip, actually, I can gain that stroke back. It's a tough chip. It's a very, very difficult chip. But let's see if I can try to spin one down there. Number 1, keep it close. But number 2, see if we can kind of angle this one in a weird way. That's what I wanted to do. Now that should kick... Oh, it doesn't have any spin on it. Oh, I thought that might have that little bit of kind of fake glide spin, which just helps it trickle to a stop. But it has no spin, and that causes it to bound forward a little bit. So the goal wasn't to have it spin back. The goal was to stop it a little bit closer. I'll tap in the par. Tough condition there on hole 6. We both par it, and we'll stay put at 9 under and 8 under, and it now comes down to hole 17 to see if I can tie this one back up. Just 1 hole to play in game 2. Here is what we're dealing with on hole 17, and we're dealing with some really strong winds for the, I don't know how manyth time, just over and over, really, really, really strong winds. Tough looks in this match. Let's see if we can just put this one close, put it on the green somewhere, bounce it up there, hopefully make a birdie, and see if that's enough. Now that should take a little kick up in the air, move to the right. Ooh, I put it really close. Would have had to be real lucky to actually sink, but I put it within like a yard or so for all this wind. That's pretty good, and I've given myself a very straight putt as well. So a nice, pretty much dead on birdie look here. Just have to send it up there. Mike has put it nice and close as well. Oh, but he launches. He had the line and ended up launching. Now, he has a pretty good line with the putt. I don't think the putt should move all that much. If he opts to chip it, which is... Okay, he's moved down to the putter. The chip, if you know, like, the wind adjustment for... This looks like about a 1-dot chip. I'm not exactly sure what the distance on that is. About maybe 15 yards or so. But the putt is fairly doable from back here. It may move a little bit. And the problem with putting from off the green is you can see the terrain map, but you don't get a great aim at it. And sometimes in certain areas around this green, it also moves weirdly initially, like left to right or something like that. Here's the putt on its way. That looks good, and he'll sink it. What a putt from Mike from 40-plus feet. That's what that nice long putt means when it pops up. He'll make the birdie a clutch one, and Mike will take game 2 here. So some very nice birdies there on a very difficult hole 17. We'll make this 10 under to 9 under, and we'll move on to game 3. Great game 2 to Mike. Way to mentally forget about that game 1. And we'll move on to a winner-take-all game 3. We are back with game 3, the deciding match in this 1v1 in the Super League. Week 2 all comes down to this random 9. We're back with Mike here, and we're starting off on a special hole. We'll have hole 20 to start. It looks like no wind. And then after that, not too bad of a seed. Hole 17 is on it once again, so not the nicest to see that, not the nicest to see hole 20, but it doesn't look too bad here. We've got a nice non-wind condition here to hopefully put one close. This is another one that it's really difficult, even with zero wind, to actually make the shots on the special holes. You have to hit real precise ones. I'm not totally sure what the precise shot is here, but we'll give it a run. The 3-iron should be the play. I'm going to aim this just like slightly left, like very, very slightly left, and hopefully that ends up being just okay. Or you know what? Maybe right might be the move, because it rolls back down to the right. So I think I want to try to sneak this around the pin on the right side. Now we have to be careful not to smack the pin here. That's something to worry about. So like 3.6 or so on the power meter, maybe slightly more should be good. And hopefully we just kind of hold the green. Give it a run, but keep it safe. That should take a pretty good landing point. Just kind of roll past. Oh, it's not going to roll back at all. Just a little bit too much on that one, I think. Mike has made the birdie, and I now have a, you know, not too bad. This is a spot where you actually end up fairly frequently on this one. So it's not too bad, but it's not the nicest looking one. Let's see if we can just get past this one. Roll it down there, sink it for a slightly tougher birdie than what it needed to be. But we'll move on from hole 20, even through game 3. All right, one tough hole down. Let's see if we can get some makeable conditions here in the rest of this match. That hasn't happened yet in the first 2 games. Whole lot of wind. Let's see what we get this time around. Here is our hole 12 in game 3. What's it going to be this time? 9 miles an hour and that tough back pin again. Now, it's not like the hardest pin, but it's just not, especially with, you know, non-crosswind. It's a really, really small target to try to hit, and it's not the most forgiving. You know, if you end up hitting it slightly too far, you roll it right off the back of the green, give yourself a tough little fringe shot. If you leave it too short, I mean, that's not as bad, but still not super easy. Let's just aim this one out to there. I'm going to give it just a safe shot. If we leave it on the short side, that's kind of fine. Let's just go for something like that. Intentionally not super, super aggressive with it. Ooh, I overpower it slightly on the actual follow-through. That should bounce way up in the air, though. Yeah, that nice bounce way up in the air is going to keep it right around the cup. And we'll have a very makeable putt here from pretty close. So, ended up working out pretty okay. Mike has put it, looks like just a little bit further away than me, so I'll have a very straightforward putt here, just straight up the hill. Mike doesn't have a very tough angle, it looks like, either. Didn't totally see where his ball ended up. Let's take a look after my replay goes away. There it is. Mike will send it up there and sink it, so no lead yet in game 2 here. Some nice eagles on a slightly tougher hole 12. We'll each move to 3 under through 2. 7 holes to play in this decider game 3. We'll see if one of us can break this open. Here comes hole 4 again. Looks like we'll have some moderate-ish wind. 9 miles an hour, not too bad actually. Let's aim this one to call it there. I think that looks about right. Yeah, we'll call that okay. We'll give it about that much power. That looks pretty decent. Let's see. I think I like this shot. That's what I wanted. Let's see where it lands and where it ends up. That looks like it's on a pretty good line. If it rolls back nicely, it will. It's going to move to the right, but just not quite enough. Really close call. 0.7 feet. And a pretty good power on it, but it's not enough to take a lead. Can Mike sink it? No, his ends up kicking off the rough, which pushes it considerably to the right. But he's on the green. He's got a fairly straightforward putt. I mean, hole 4's green isn't too bad, especially if you can put it within like 15 feet or so. Mike will send it up there and sink it. So once again, no lead. Just birdies for both of us. I gave it a good run, but it wasn't enough for the ace. So we'll each be at 4 under. There are 5 holes left now. Excuse me, 6 holes left now to see if one of us can take this in regulation. Otherwise, we move into a playoff if we're tied at the end of 9. What do we have for the next couple holes? We got 3, 10, 8, 15, followed by 17 and 5 to finish it. So maybe some opportunities are out there. This one looks pretty okay. I mean, 4 miles an hour pushing to the right is going to end up not really affecting the distance all that much, I don't think, on shots 1 or 2. We'll just have to avoid that big tree. It's not really in the way in this case. And now we'll have just maybe a slightly further shot than usual to send this up there. We'll still want to be as efficient as we can with trying to put this, as close as possible. Sometimes you need to back off of it a little bit to make sure you don't end up too close. But here we can just try to put this nicely in the bunker. Somewhere around that 25 to 30 yard range is usually pretty perfect. And that may be where we end up. That looks about right. 28 yards, that should be pretty much perfect. Now let's see if we can sink the shot now that we're here. We'll have to hit this one carefully. Call it to maybe slightly towards the end of that second dot for the power. Right about there looks decent. Let's give that a run. I think this is pretty okay. Let's see if it works. Yeah, that looks really good to start. Now that should roll back, and I'll leave it right on the edge again. 0.2 feet. Man, oh man, I just can't get him to fall. And I'll have to tap in a... Whew, that almost didn't make it. Man, that is scary in this game sometimes. I'll tap in the 0.2 footer. Sometimes you end up with those glitched putts in this game. And that was one that almost happened. That would have been pretty brutal. But I'll tap in the birdie. Really close call. Not enough for a lead. 5 holes to play to see if I can make one of them drop. We'll move on to hole 10 here. Looks like we'll have some crosswind to deal with. Very pin dependent on hole 10. Can we get a nicer one this time? We kind of can. This one looks pretty good. All right. Off to the right on this one. Let's send a good shot out there.
Nice shot.
Now that should intentionally cut it a little close with the rough, but that's going to kick back considerably to the left. Hopefully end up just a little bit left, if not perfectly in line with the pin. And that should be a good spot to leave this one to try to spin a little 9-iron back here. Do we have enough distance on it? I think we do. Let's give it a run, see if we can hit a good shot, and hopefully maybe sink this one. You never know. I think right about there should be good for the adjustment. Full 9-iron is going to be the play. Let's see if I can get it to fall. Ooh, is that a little bit short on it? We'll have to see if that rolls back okay. Now that'll roll back, and one finally drops. All right. I make it on hole 10. Lost a pixel of power on that one, but that may have actually helped. It was moving pretty slow by the time it got back to the cup. Would it have made the full difference? Not totally sure. It was still moving a little bit, so no harm, no foul. Just a close call, but a make. And that'll be very, very nice towards the end of this round to have a lead. 7 under to 6 under. Finally got a shot to find the bottom of the cup. We got 4 holes left to defend this lead now. We'll move on to hole 8. Hole 8 and 17 are... I mean, every hole has like a roughly, slightly less than 50-50 chance of appearing, but we've seen those a little bit much for my taste in this match. It has not been easy with the seeds or the wind conditions. Let's try our best to sink one here, or at least put it close. I mean, the 3-iron here is probably the right play, at least for me. Hopefully just bounce one up in the air, yank it back, and if I don't make it, just give myself a nice little putt. Right about there looks pretty good for the aim. Just a little more than 3 dots. On the power should be good. I like that shot a lot. Let's see where it ends up. That'll take a nice little rollback, hopefully, and just miss on the right side, but that'll be about as much of a tap-in as you can have on hole 8. Pretty close call, just slightly off. Now, it is still scary. Like, this is super sloped, even though it's 2 feet away. Mike has sunk the birdie, so I must make this. Hopefully it doesn't give me any issues, but you never know in this game. Oh my goodness, there it is. Oh, that awful little side hill putt just doesn't work sometimes. I have gotten pretty good about avoiding it, but when it's that slopey and that side hilly, oh man, just a really tough break. So you can put it within 3 feet. I mean, that was a 3-foot putt, if that, on hole 8. But sometimes it's just a little bit too close. Like, I'd almost rather be 10 feet away to give that like a 1-dot putt, because when you're barely moving the controller, it sometimes just doesn't register right. Tough break. We'll move on, see if we can do something on one of these final holes. We've got a look here at a 0-wind hole 15 to see if we can try to gain that lead back. I mean, obviously Mike can sink it and maybe take the match as well. So we'll have to be real careful with this one and try to sink it. Oh, I just didn't put this close enough, I don't think. Now maybe it can glide. Probably have to go 7-iron here, which is not the right play, but I don't know if there's much more I can do here. Let's try it out. Just maybe like right between the dot and the cup in terms of power on the minimap. Just like 3-point, barely 1. Mike has put it close but not in. Mine is going to bounce around, roll back, and I'll lip it. Man, oh man, what a brutal game this has been for me. Doesn't glide the way it usually does on most parts of this hole 15 green. Just kind of zips back and catches the lip rather than trickling back nicely. So we'll have a putt to keep it even. And after a whole bunch of close calls and just a brutal putt, this match is still even. So we're through 7, 2 to play, both of us at 8 under. Anybody's game in this decider game 3. It's been exciting, just in a very close and almost could have been a good game type of way. We'll move on to hole 17, I think for the 3rd time. Just not nice when you see this over and over and over. 22 miles an hour is what we're going to be dealing with in this one. Let's just try to put it close. Hopefully hold the green, putt it back there, and move on. Don't like seeing hole 17 this much, but nothing you can do. Let's just try our best to give it a good run. Hopefully we launch off the short rough, end up on the... No, we bounced to a stop! Oh man, I just can't get anything to go right in this match. The physics of the game just not quite working in my favor, and now we have a tough little chip here. Let's see. Probably have to give it that much power. This is going to kick considerably left. Mike's going to send it back there. He had a good angle at it, and he'll just miss it on the right side. So I have a chip now to try to take the lead. This is going to move left when it clips the green. Now, is this enough on the adjustment? That looks pretty good, and I'll sink it. Man, what a tough game this has been. Mike has to sink a par. Hole 17 deciding matches is not what you necessarily want to see in this Super League, but when it comes up on the seed, there's just nothing you can really do. Unlucky on that initial shot that it didn't launch onto the green, but pretty lucky on that chip to get it to fall. And now I'm back in the lead, 9 under to 8 under with 1 hole left. Can I hold on to it? We'll have a hole 5 that looks pretty difficult, as most holes have been in this Super League match. Let's play this one safely. I'm taking a little bit of power off this one. Just a whole lot of tree trouble that can be avoided by hitting it 3.8 or so instead of full. So we'll just put that out there safely in the fairway. It's a tough chip regardless of distance once you get up there. If Mike can sink it, it'll probably force the playoff. But I definitely don't want to toy with being OB or in the rough or anything like that or behind a tree. Oh no! Speaking of which, Mike has ended up OB. He had to play more aggressively to give himself a good line at the make, but a real tough break there. Those trees are just not very nice when you're dealing with this direction of wind, especially when it's moderate wind. Gotta cut it close to some serious trouble to play it aggressively. I think at this point I can just bounce one up there with a 9-iron. Just play it safe, put it by the cup. Some glide spin is what I want on this one. Let's see if I can just put it back there. Nice and close, just settle it around the cup. That may roll... No, it doesn't. It just kind of glides to a stop. That's about what I wanted, though. Very straight putt from here. 14 feet, just moving ever so slightly to the right. Maybe a little left at the beginning, but not enough to change my plans, I don't think. Let's just hit it up there. Sink it for the birdie. And what a tough match this has been. Whole lot of difficult conditions. Mike will end up just missing that chip on the right side and putting it to almost exactly where I was, I think. He will sink it for the bogey, so tough break on the final hole here for Mike. It was a real back and forth match. I mean, a whole lot of weird things happened with the putter and with other shots. It was close. It was a lot closer than what the scoreboard makes it look like. But it'll be 10 under to 7 under in this game 3. I'll take the match 2-1. Great games to Mike. A lot of weird things happened, but he's a great guy. We've had a lot of fun in the chat in this match. And we'll see you next week for match number 3 of the Super League.